T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Let's get ready to sucker!
I got a lot of shine. Running up the number, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Lot of slime. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me. Yeah. Big time. Big time. Big time. Big time. That's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. It's running over with the dollar signs. Try to take it from me. Big time. I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time. Lot of signs. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of time. Pockets running over with the dollar signs. Try and take it from me, from me, from me. Big time. Double nine. Got it in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of time. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right, we're good. This power turned off on us.
Sounds like Paul just fell on the stairs.
Yeah, we're good. So we're once again welcome to the Scrambling Hour here on YSN. Where we had the power turned off on us right as we were going on the air. So we're going to make the best of a situation as Quinn scrambles to go. I had to go over to Quinn's chair, and here comes Quinn. There he is. What's up, fella? We're like 6 feet away from each other. So happy National Make a New Friend Day. So here's the question. If you could be friends, best friends, not just friends, best friends, with anybody in professional sports, who would it be and why? Paul, we'll start with you.
Wow. Man, you know what? I'd say Tom Brady. And here's why. Not only because he's so recognizable and he's famous. He's a famous guy. His wife is super famous. So now you're going to get to go to all those modeling shows all over the world and go places like that and travel these extravagant places, because not only does he have money and he's famous, but she makes more money than him and she's famous as well. So that's like a power couple and a half.
We're going to play musical chairs. Hang on.
Mic and everything should work.
All right, musical chairs. I agree with Tom Brady, and for different reasons than you. But since you took it, I'll go a different route. I'm gonna go Brock Lesnar, and I think everybody knows I'm 5'4.5". So if I got Brock Lesnar hanging out with me, nobody's messing with me. Like all of a sudden, all these doors start to open up because I've got.
But where are you going that people are messing with you? Like,
I go to dark places sometimes, Paul.
Like a bodyguard?
I go to places where people like messing with me. It's hanging out with Rob sometimes. It's a scary place to be. And even Rob tried to put me through a table one time. So I'm going to go Brock Lesnar. And because also, by the way, Jeff paid. And if you've ever seen Jeff around me, he just picks me up for random reasons, like a rag doll at points. And I think we've just talked about it. If Jeff were to do that to me, having him be German suplex through a table, just for doing that, I think is it's not a bad thing because we'll tape it and we'll get a few hits off of it. So that's me, Brock Lesnar. Rob, how about you?
For the same reason we discussed this either last week or the week before, it would have to be Gronkowski. I think professional athlete-wise, I think he's probably one of the funnest people that you can possibly hang out with. Just some of the videos I've seen on social media, just the way he gets down looks like an absolute blast every single time he hits anywhere he goes. So I would definitely love to hang out with that dude.
Also, imagine me going into a sales meeting and them telling me no, and I go, "Oh, hang on, hey Brock," and he just comes in and sits down. I think that no turns into a yes pretty quick. Just a thought. Quinn, how about you?
I don't know. That's tough. I had an answer and I forgot it when I had to hop the little thing over there. I don't know. It'd probably be maybe Tom Brady, somebody like that, just to see like what he does in his life.
He already picked Tom Brady. You got to move on.
I wasn't paying attention, obviously. But
no basketball?
Nah.
You wouldn't want to hang out with LeBron?
Nah, I'm good.
Nobody wants to do that.
I'm good. I've been in a room with LeBron, and that's all I need. I'm good. Too many people follow him around. But
see, that's why you got to pick the greatest. You got to go hang out with Jordan.
Yeah, 700 person entourage. I'm good.
Jordan doesn't have a 700 person entourage.
I'll go hang out with like the Ukrainian guy that nobody hangs out with.
Well, at least if you hang around with LeBron, you can learn all about Hong Kong policies and things like that. He seems to be a professional.
Really think he knows any of those things?
According to him, you think he does.
The guy barely graduated high school. You think he knows?
Look at how good Quinn looks in that picture right now. Like, tell me that is not like picturesque.
Excelente.
It's the beard.
It's beautiful. Here I am just trying to. I got a computer in front of me, and Quinn's got some beautiful. Like he's standing in front of a painting. You
got a glare in the back of you too. That's what stinks.
It is what it is. We've been doing shows here all day from beautiful Mill Creek Metro Park and Golf Course. Brian Tolnar and of course everybody out here. We're actually out here to promote the Hope program that took place today for the veterans. Coming out and learning a little bit more about golf, working on their game a little bit. Some of them winning. They had a giant. You ever see those inflatable dartboards, like the giant ones? They had one of those that you could use tennis balls to shoot at, and you get a free foursome for whenever you want, whenever the course opens up. I'm assuming the majority of people will hold on to it till the spring or the summer, but it was kind of neat to see these guys, kind of take on each other. And again, anytime we can do anything with and for our veterans at YSN, we're going to do it, absolutely every single time. So thanks for the opportunity to Brian and Stacy out here at Mill Creek to be out here all day. And again, Paul, you've been out here with us. It's always fun. I mean, they feed you, they treat you right, and got some swag here for everybody for coming out and and
it's a nice course. I mean, it's two courses there in the middle of Youngstown that is just very good, very well taken care of, and very inexpensive to go golf, and it's challenging. So what more could you ask for?
And I look to the
Easy, of
flag
course.
that is half mast right now, and underneath the American flag, the YSN flag. It's awesome.
Nice.
I'm gonna take a picture of it and treasure it forever.
Knows the Betos polo though.
Where is the Betos polo?
It's up a pole somewhere.
I thought he found it.
That was a different one. That was the one he left in my car.
Oh, because that one was at Billy's house, right?
Yeah, there was one there. His favorite polo is up a flagpole.
So what? You just go
Still.
around and take Jeff's clothes and put them on
Jeff
flagpoles?
forgets his clothes everywhere.
He's
Hey,
only
it was
got
the polo
6
when
shirts
when
anyway.
you bought him that American Eagle one.
Yeah.
That day when he switched him, he never grabbed his polo out of my car.
Oh.
I kept that one. That one's in a pole down by the river somewhere.
That's not good. Rob, it is time for our Bear Brothers Would You Rather. Do you have a Would You Rather for us today?
Yeah. All right.
Oh boy. Rob, you got a monster glare behind you too. What are you sitting by a window?
What are you talking about? Oh my God, you guys. Holy crap, I didn't even see that spider. Oh my God. Let me see if I can get rid of it. All right, so anyways, the would you rather is, would you rather go to jail for 3 months
Oh gosh.
or go Facebook Live and kiss your sister?
Jail.
B.
I'm going to jail.
Well,
Jail or kiss your sister?
Go
Yeah.
to jail for 3 months or go Facebook Live and kiss your sister?
I'm not going to jail, Rob. There's not a whole lot that's going to get me to pick jail.
Not prison, jail.
Do you get
That's like the county jail, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
why?
So I get to go to like the Canfield City Jail or whatever.
Not the
Sure.
Canfield. It's got to be Mahoney County at least.
I'll be fine. I'll go to jail down there. To be honest with you,
You won't be fine though.
I probably know some people down in there.
Jail's not like jail. I would say that jail's not really like prison. You don't have to worry about showers as much as you have to worry about prison.
I don't like where this is going, but I don't understand. You'd rather spend time in jail, Quinn?
Yeah.
It's to kiss your sister.
So what do I got to do? I got to wash the cop car every day. All right, that's fine. Trim some hedges. It's not like I got to do it.
You're in jail, dude. Paul, back me up, please.
The other thing is just mentally scarring.
Yeah, you gotta live with that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you're gonna be the sister kisser. I mean, and that's out there on the internet forever. Listen, I know it does sound crazy, and you're gonna like think it's nuts, but yeah, I mean, listen, jail. I mean, listen, you don't have to get up early. You don't have to like worry about going to a job or anything for a little bit. You can sleep in.
Does anybody else feel like Michael Scott here when Dunder Mifflin's talking about going to jail and they think it's better than working at Dunder Mifflin? This is
I know,
jail for 3 months, guys.
Me personally, I do 3 months standing on my head rather than think about the fact that people get to save that Facebook Live video and just play it whenever the hell they want. No way. And I'm not talking about like you just got to kiss your sister on the cheek. You got to give her like a full-on kiss, like a movie kiss.
Jail.
Give me jail.
No. I can think of a hell of a lot of people that I'd kiss other than my sister. That would be 10 times worse that I would do before saying I'd like to go to jail, please, for 3 months. Like here comes that guy that owns that YSN. He went to jail for 3 months. That doesn't roll off the tongue.
So Trent Conway says, "Pucker up, sister. I'm with you, DJ." And Jeff says, "Jail all day."
Jail, I'll be fine.
I'll kiss Jeff's sister.
Jeff,
What up, Katie?
What's up, Katie? How you doing? My wife's gonna murder me.
good now, isn't it?
She's gonna go to jail.
Then she'll be in jail. Kissing people's sisters, are you, DJ? I'll show you.
You all three would take jail.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now this isn't just like Power Hour question. Like this is like if we're off and we're talking,
Yes.
this is legit question.
Yes.
Wow. Paul? Really?
Especially, just the fact that just thinking about the idea that video is out there for basically ever. And if I ever pissed anybody off or gave anybody any crap, they could just drop that on my timeline whenever they wanted. No.
I mean, that, and think about, like, I mean, listen, at least, two of us on here are married, and, Rob's got a serious girl. But, like, if you were single and you had to do that, have fun ever trying to get another date, because they're going to be like, dude, you're the one that made out with your sister.
We're not making out. Kiss.
No, that's what he said. It's a
No, I'm talking about a makeout session, not just a kiss on the
It's not
lip.
just a smooch. He's talking about make out, French kiss with your sister, or go to jail for 3 months.
No. This has escalated way too far. This was
You're judging the two of us anyway.
Anthony
That's
was
what we all said. Jail. That's what was insinuated. So that's why we all said jail.
No. That was not insinuated, Paul. That was nowhere. It was a kiss. It was a movie-like kiss. I don't watch those kind of movies that you freaks are down there are apparently alluding to. My goodness. Sister Act 2 starring Paul Munson. No.
That was a terrible movie, by the way.
Sister Act 2?
Yeah.
What, you don't like Whoopi?
Careful.
No, the first one was better.
I like Sister Act 1. I honestly can't remember ever sitting through Sister Act 2.
I didn't even know they made a second one, to be honest with you.
They did.
I love you.
I knew they made the first one was good.
I will follow. Yeah. All right. Hey, that was your Would You Rather, disgustingly enough, brought to you by Bear Fine Hardwoods. I think Rob has been terminated from the Would You Rathers following this.
Hey, we'll just confirm at the beginning of each show whether it's safe or not.
That's true. That's usually my first question I need to start asking. Hey, does it involve making out with your sister?
Yeah.
That's the last one ever.
So there it is. Guys, a lot to talk about. We didn't get to talk about pro sports yesterday too long. I know we were trying to, because we were talking about the playoffs in high school. I got to ask, Rob, your Browns, Quinn, your Browns, what's going on?
Man, you talk about, Billy was talking about this before, how it's so annoying when you have these fair weather fans that, they just start popping up out of the woodwork in the first quarter and the second quarter, just going crazy on them. And then all of a sudden they come back and everything's all right with the world. But I'll tell you this, watching them just really get manhandled, not just on offense, but defensively, it's like a totally different football team from a few weeks ago. But, when these injuries are starting to hurt, I don't care what anybody says. Baker can say he's going to play all he wants, but his shoulder is clearly affecting his gameplay. It has to be. And then you see him go down after that Watt sack, and the way he laid it on that shoulder, I'm sitting there. We were actually at the Italian Village watching the game, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my God! I said, he's done. And then here he comes right back. And I'm not that fair weather fan type. I just look at it this way. My Facebook post simply said this: all I'm going to say is we played a horrible football game, and hopefully we can figure this stuff out for next week. But then you look at the injury list; it's unbelievable. I think I was reading the one post.
It's like 2
I want
pages.
to say there was like 18. There was like 18 names on the injury list.
Starters didn't practice yesterday.
So let me duplicate this. Here's a real Would You Rather, part 2. Would you rather have Case Keenum start this game or Baker Mayfield?
I would rather have Case Keenum, because here's the thing: if Baker needs some time to heal, if this MRI is going to say whatever it's going to say, I mean, at the least, let this guy rest for a week or two and see if that does help. Because if he just keeps going this way, how is this going to eventually help Cleveland do anything later on down the road?
And this is a short week, too, because they play Thursday.
Yeah,
so
they're playing on Thursday.
Quinn, what about you? I mean, do you let him have the reins?
No, but it's got to come from Baker. It's not Stefanski's decision. It's got to come from Baker.
How?
Yeah.
Why?
Got to say he can't go.
He's never going to say that, though.
I know he's not, but he has to.
Your brother.
He needs it.
Baker Mayfield. Quinn Mayfield over there.
He
Maybe they suit you up this week.
Keenum needs to start.
You get
after that week,
all 2 of your snaps when they just leave you laying with your broken back like you did out here last time.
Yeah, that was the last time I swung a golf ball too, I think.
Is Baker losing the Browns fan base? No, I think he is.
I don't know if he's losing the entire base, but I'll tell you what: the people that were kind of on the fence before, they're starting to get louder and louder with this guy. And, like we said this before earlier in the year, the thing about Baker is you're going to watch this man progress season to season. And realistically, he can keep better. He can keep getting better and better. But, now you're going to throw this monkey wrench in there. I mean, me personally, in my opinion, I think he was on pace to have a very good season. But, and it's not just Baker either when you think about it. Again, we were watching Odell Beckham drop passes last week. It's 2 weeks ago. That 4th and 5 2 weeks ago, that was a huge play. And he couldn't come up with it. So there's other variables. But if this keeps going this way, I will say for sure that Baker starts losing some more of the fan base. Not the entire one, though.
So here's another thing. Billy brought up Baker for Watson straight up. Make it happen, Cleveland.
They won't do that.
No, but listen. If they could make that happen, would Cleveland be better off with all the problems that Watson brings in, or to live life with Baker Mayfield?
Give me Deshaun right now.
Well, I think if you change things up right now, this goes right back to over and over and over. Ever since 2000, again, here we are, again, without a franchise quarterback.
You're not bringing in a guy that's Deshaun. Like, we've never had a Deshaun.
No, you had.
We went from
actually, you have had a
Kelly
Deshaun.
Holcomb or Kaiser to Brandon Whedon.
You had Deshaun Kaiser.
Colt McCoy to who knows who else.
But you never had a Baker either, and that's what I'm tired of hearing about.
Yeah.
Like everybody always puts this on the quarterback, and I gotta admit, I'm kind of on the side of it's not the quarterback's fault right now. And I know Billy doesn't want to hear that because he hasn't necessarily won any games. But
last game was. You didn't have a running game. You had to move the ball, and the only way you're going to move the ball is through Baker.
But this is what I'm seeing online. This is what I'm seeing from every Browns fan is just give it to Chubb. Just give it to Chubb. Chubb's not healthy right now, okay? And at the end of the day, Baker's never had to win you a ball game.
He can't.
That's not the case at all. But the scheme is not built around Baker Mayfield. It's built around who? Nick Chubb. Yeah. So if you have to adjust in the middle of a game, and then all of a sudden you have a quarterback that it's all on him.
You still had a leading rushing. NFL yard rushing.
I've got breaking news for you. Anytime you have a leading rusher in your locker room, your quarterback doesn't matter. He's going to be all right. Trent Dilfers of the world will step up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Trent Dilfer actually had one of the best defenses in the history of the NFL that year.
Wasn't it the best defense? Didn't they get higher than the Bears, 85 Bears or whatever?
I want to say yes, but I'm not positive. But that was easily one of the best defenses we've ever gotten to watch.
I mean, that defense beat the Titans. They were the only team to score against the Titans.
And that's the other thing about Cleveland's defense, too. You got the 1 week they show up against Justin Fields, and all of a sudden they're perennial all-stars. And then you go to the week after that, and then this week, I mean, I understand there's injuries there, too. But, it's just not fun at all watching how they're so bipolar right now. It's not funny. Now, I'm really curious as to see how many people are actually sitting this Thursday from our starting defense too. That's
they're favored. They're favored again.
Well, it is the Broncos, but I will say this, that if Von Miller gets loose, like I think he's going to get loose on Thursday night under the lights, the Browns are going to have bigger problems than Baker Mayfield.
I totally agree.
Yeah, Cleveland's 3.
What about the left tackle? You lose that left tackle, that one position alone. Say what you want about football, but you lose a starting left tackle, that is going to really damper your progress on any team that's supposed to be as good as they're supposed to be.
I'm in love right now.
Tackles in center, they're all out.
I'm in love right now because every Browns fan was pounding their chest, talking about, oh, your offensive line stinks. Our offensive line grades out to be the best in football. And then all of a sudden, they start going down like flies right at the time that you get to take on who? The Pittsburgh football Steelers. And I'll tell you what, that one is going to be fun to watch. And I'm saying that from just watching it in intrigue, not expecting the world out of it. I'm not even expecting a win necessarily from the Steelers, but I'm excited to just watch Browns fans bite their fingernails for 3 hours, knowing that the arrogance, the cockiness that I've had to listen to the last 7 months has quickly turned around full speed in the last week and a half. Because once you saw Kareem Hunt get toted off the field last week, you could almost hear Cleveland's playoff dreams and their arrogance come to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
Because now you don't have a who's your running back? I don't even know who it is.
Ernest Johnson.
Ernest?
Ernest. The Ernest.
It helps when the microphone's closer to your face.
I don't care, Paul.
He just didn't want to.
But I'll tell you right now, if you think about it, a few weeks ago, like a month ago, leading up to the season, preseason, we're coming into the season, we almost beat KC, blah blah blah. A few weeks ago, all the Browns fans were very excited, especially with the way Pittsburgh, started falling off after the week one. We were all excited for that game and looking forward to it. I'll tell you right now, as a Browns fan, I am so nervous because of how well the Steelers' offensive line's playing and the defensive line. I'm not looking forward to that game the same way I was a few weeks ago. Not even close.
Listen, there's a lot of people, and I'm earmuffs. There's a lot of people going from 6 to midnight on the fact that TJ Watt is going to go off if you guys don't have your right tackle. And that just can you imagine the night that TJ on Halloween, nonetheless, he might as well be the Boogie Monster because he's coming and he is gonna like. If I'm a Browns fan at that point, I'm hoping Baker Mayfield's not in that game. Can you imagine what that would do to his identity, to his stigma, to his swagger?
After watching what TJ Watt did at the end of that game, where he basically single-handedly won that game for Pittsburgh, in my opinion. And to see what he did then, and then just to think what he could be doing against a backup right tackle, I mean, Baker's going to get crushed straight up.
I really think that Baker's going to be out for 2 weeks. You're going to see him go on the not the IR. He's going to go on the injured list for 2 weeks. And if they were smart,
that's what I'm saying. I think they should seriously see if the rest does help. Because after the last week, I mean, I think he should have taken a week off right there.
I think he's going to have surgery after the season. I really do. I mean,
he's going to have to.
He looked like he was in serious pain. What is that noise?
It was a dislocated, separated shoulder. Like, that's a ton of pain regardless.
But did you see how he came out of that tent? Like, I mean, when he was walking, like when he was on the ground, I'm thinking like, oh my God. But then when he walks out, if you watch him stride, it didn't even look like he was in the tent before that. At least I thought so.
Yeah, except for his arm dangling there.
When I watched him walk out of the tent, I didn't see it. I thought he was just trying to hide it maybe or whatever. But
he's got that like brace on that keeps it kind of intact. But if you watch it again, it didn't move.
Can the Browns rebound? I guess is the better question. No. With this many injuries, getting everybody healthy at the same time is going to be a task. Can the Browns rebound at this point, moving forward, to be effectively get into the playoffs? Because you look at who's in front of them, and people laughed at me when I said Cincinnati was going to be good this year, and here they are.
There's no way they can make the playoffs.
The Browns?
They have to win every AFC game the rest of the way. There's no way. Because they're not winning the division, and the wild card's going to go to the two teams out in the West. There's no way they can make the playoffs.
So
it depends on the timeline of these injuries too, because if you go down the list, the injury list right now is Beckham, Chubb, Clowney, Jack Conklin, Garrett, AJ Green, Kareem Hunt, Malik Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Malik McDowell, Takaris McKinley, Greg Newsome, the tight end, Njoku, Jeremiah Karoma, however you say that name, Malcolm Smith, J.C. Treader, Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams, Jedrick Willis Jr., and Mac Wilson. That is unbelievably absurd.
All starters except for one.
And then you look at the other side, you look at Pittsburgh, and the only injury that's really plaguing them right now, which I think is actually a benefit, is Juju Smith-Schuster being out for the season. And I think Pittsburgh is a better team without 19 in the lineup.
He's not dancing anymore.
Well, I mean,
guys that can catch now.
No, I think there it is. You got guys that can catch. And I think that the same stigma that OBJ brings to the Browns is what Juju Schuster brings to the Steelers. Is he expects to be, I need to have 5 balls thrown to me, at least 5 targets a game. Where now you got a bunch of guys that are 2 dogs, 1 bone, as Mike Tomlin likes to say. You got different guys. James Washington. They got Cody White, I think is his name. These younger receivers. That's the way it was when we had Emmanuel Sanders and Antonio Brown. 2 dogs, 1 bone, and you got to battle it out in practice all week to get that helmet. And we saw what happened. Emmanuel Sanders moves on. Antonio Brown turns into one of the best receivers in Pittsburgh Steelers history, and to me, NFL history from that standpoint, until he goes batshit crazy. But you look at that and you go, okay, are the Steelers arrow up? I'm not sure. If I'm being honest, my arrow is going straight across right now with the Steelers because I'm still not sold. The first half, I was all over. I was back on. They got me excited. And then the second half, I thought, oh, dear Lord, here we go again. They can't score. Ben looks old. But if we were doing a who would you fight celebrity status, who's that Rodney? He played for the Patriots. Harrison. I'd fight him. I'd fight him because he's an idiot. He talks out his butt constantly.
Isn't he the one that didn't hold his own umbrella?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just arrogance. And like Quinn said with the Browns, they've got to win some AFC North games to have a shot. They can beat the Broncos this week, even with some injured guys. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. They get a Patriots team. They can probably beat them. They should definitely beat the Lions. Back-to-back weeks against the Ravens, followed by the Raiders, the Packers, Steelers again, and then the Bengals. So if you're not beating some AFC North teams, then
there's no chance they beat Baltimore. No chance.
No, not right now. Hell no.
Run.
There's no chance.
They couldn't
and
beat
they get them back-to-back weeks too. That's the terrible thing for them. They get them last week in November, and they get a bye week, and then they come back after the bye week and play Baltimore again.
Good luck.
Not gonna happen.
Did you see what Baltimore did to Los Angeles? My gosh. And that was a team that you went 12 rounds with last week. I expected Baltimore to win. I did not expect them to rush for 200 and some yards. Did not. Hey, let's take a break before we get to more of this. If you want to talk about something, drop it in the comments. Brought to you by Foreman Mitsubishi. We appreciate their sponsorship of this, and we appreciate Mill Creek and Brian Tornar and Stacy letting us kind of invade their space here today. And we'll be back with the Power Hour, the Tuesday edition, right after this.
We are there in your community. Small business owners, mechanics, police officers, homemakers. And we are there serving our nation in the Air Force Reserve. When medical emergencies arise, in cybersecurity, when natural disasters happen, we are there in space. We are Reserve Citizen Airmen, and we are there with over 180 different jobs to serve your country. Air Force Reserve.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the four words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Keep an eye on the campus of Mill Creek Golf Course, right off the driving range. And again, thanks to Brian and Stacy for allowing us to come out here and hang out with them on the day of the PGA Hope program, the first of its kind here in Youngstown. So we're looking forward. Next year going to be kind of a weekly thing, from what I understand, leading up to Veterans Day. So we're proud to be a part of it, and a very small part of it, and do anything we can for it. So thanks to our men and women who, as always, every day, not just on Veterans Day or it's an everyday thing. You're appreciative, and we are appreciative of their service day in and day out to allow us to kind of stamp down our freedoms. So thank you very much. Guys, we talked about Browns and Steelers before the break. Here's an interesting thing, because the NBA starts tomorrow night, and I've wanted to know, I know my personal opinion on this, but I'm anxious to hear yours. Why doesn't anybody care about the NBA?
Because they went off political.
You think? Is that it?
I think it has a lot to do with it. I mean, you've seen, there was years ago, decades ago, where they were talking about, I forget what I was watching, they were talking about how the NBA's fan base was dying out, and then this or that happened, and they started bringing it back, and then you had Jordan come in, and, Johnson, and, Bird and all them guys, and they got it back going. And it seemed like me personally, I was a huge fan of the Lakers when Shaq and Kobe was playing. I just loved watching that team play, and I just couldn't get enough of it. And then, you had LeBron come in, and then all of a sudden, at least around here, people were excited as hell to have the NBA. He left, then, pissed people off again, went down there, won some chips, came back, won it again for Cleveland, and then everybody was loving him again. But ever since politics started taking over everything, back in 2015-ish, and then NBA threw their hat in the ring, and then they started pretty much making it one-sided on things. You've seen a huge decline in ratings, and I don't know how those ratings affect, salaries and things like that, because I really don't think they do that much. But I mean, me personally, last year I didn't watch a single game, and I grew up watching the NBA, but I literally stopped watching, I'd say about 2 years ago, and I haven't been back since, and I don't miss it at all. That's just me, though.
Well, do you think it has anything, and I'm with you on that, but do you think it has anything to do with the actual product? I mean, I was talking to Sigler in the car the other day on the way to Stephenville, and, he brought up the point, and I hope I'm not stealing his thunder here, but, when we were younger, we had the posters of, the NBA players, Jordan and Pippen and Larry Legend and Magic Johnson and Shaq and Kobe. Every time they went up for a dunk, somebody was contesting that dunk, and they got posterized, right? And nowadays, you watch the NBA, and they just let them have points. Do you think the product is just bad, Quinn?
It's bad as a league, but the top 5-6 teams are good, if that makes sense.
But why don't they ever play each other and play defense against each other until...
Because scoring sells. It just sells better when you score a ton of points. It's the way the system is now.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, look at high school sports. At high school sports, everybody wants to shoot threes. It's the same way. NBA is the same way. Chuck up a bunch of threes, play zero defense. It's the same thing. It's bad.
See, I'm interested about that.
It's bad, and I mean the product's bad. I mean, as of right now, there's probably 6 teams that are capable of winning a title right now, and everybody else is thanks for playing, basically. I mean, it's bad, and the super team concept has kind of ruined that. And
I was just going to say that too. When they started doing that whole crap, bringing 3 or 4 all-stars on one team just to win a championship, and then what? That helps your fan base, totally ticks off the rest of the country. And I talk about just beyond ridiculous the way they set that up. It's just not fun to watch, period.
Let's go on the old man's porch and hear what he has to say. Paul, what do you have to say about the NBA?
Is that still a sport? Do people actually still watch that around here? Yeah, I mean, I got to agree with Ty. Like he says, realistically, the NBA is branding itself globally and overseas, so much so that the ratings in the U.S. don't really matter that much. So, I mean, and I can see that. It's true. But I could care less about the NBA. If it went away, it would just be one less feed on my scroll on ESPN when I go through it. So it doesn't bother me. But real quick, I wanted to backtrack for a half second to, to be fair to Browns fans as well. When we were talking about the schedule, Steelers are in the same boat. Like, they get a bye week this week. They get the Browns, some winnable games against the Bears and the Lions, but then Chargers, Bengals, Ravens, Vikings, Titans, Chiefs, Browns, and Ravens again. So
let's go.
I mean, they're gonna, they might as well grab an oar and sit next to Cleveland and say, we're in the same boat rowing here, boys, because if we can't win some AFC North games, we're not making the playoffs either. So
well, you have to. Though, right? You have to win AFC North games. That's how the Steelers made their hay for that many years. You have to win AFC North games. I mean, you can't lose your division and expect to make the playoffs. I'm sorry, that's just not how it goes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, if Cleveland if Pittsburgh wants to try to stay atop the AFC North, and Cleveland wants to say, "Listen, we're top, playoff contenders again," you're going to have to. And right now that they're both in the basement, and Cincinnati and Baltimore are saying, "Not so fast, boys. We might be the new big dogs in this." So, but yeah,
I wouldn't want to play Cincinnati right now either.
Nope.
Yeah, but the NBA, listen, like I said, if it went away tomorrow, no harm, no foul to me, because like Quinn said, the whole scoring thing, nobody wants to play defense and ticky-tack fouls. And, it's ridiculous. These guys make insane amount of money. They just kind of want to go out there and not even, to me, realistically, not even like play basketball. They're just out there just shooting around, and there's no real like offensive scheme going on. It's like, listen, just get the superstar the ball, let him shoot, and everybody else will work around it. So,
what are you laughing about?
How angry he looks when he's saying all that.
Well, it's an offensive league. It's not defensive anymore.
Play defense. Nobody cares to play defense. And to be honest, nobody that can.
Kyrie Leonard's literally like the only person left to play defense.
Yeah, I mean, right there, Amos says the Kentucky Derby had more views than the NBA Finals. I mean, that's a little skewed though, because the Kentucky Derby is 2 minutes. And you can sit there and watch something, and your attention span can pay attention to that. The NBA Finals, I mean, who cares? Nobody cared when it was in the bubble. Like, I couldn't even tell you who won it when it was in the bubble, because who cared about it? Okay, see? So they got themselves a cheap ring. So, I mean, whatever.
You knew that.
Listen, putting the 3-point shot on a pedestal, that, statistically speaking, and that's what sports are, right? It's all statistics. If you make more 3-point shots, you're going to win more games.
You're going to win. It's just, you make more threes, you're going to win.
I would be teaching my kids how to shoot 3 too. And it's like I joked about it. When slam dunks are worth 3 points, I'll figure out how to do it.
It's not that that it was put on a pedestal either. It's that everybody started shooting them, and everybody can make them.
Well, Steph Curry showed up, and that was it.
Like, it's not put it on the pedestal and said, this is what the NBA is going to be. It's that everybody started shooting them at a high percentage and making them. So it was, why not? Everybody else is doing it. Now we have to adapt.
Well, here's the other thing. Did you guys watch any of that 3-on-3 in the Olympics?
Nope.
The girls one, when we absolutely beat the hell on everybody else.
I watched the guys one, and I thought it was fantastic. I think they should change. If there was a league, and I think there's one coming out.
There's a big 3 league. It's the one that Ice Cube ran.
Yeah. And
that's all.
I think that, and Ty says he disagrees about the 3-pointer.
I don't care, Ty. You're wrong. You're wrong.
I mean, point
I'd like to see a half-court 3-on-3.
That was like
that's what it was.
That was the
that's what I mean. Half-court 3-on-3, because now you've got to play some defense, and you've got to have skill to get open and make a shot.
Kids look up.
Let's see that.
They shoot more threes, and it
all the
down.
superstars now can shoot the ball. Like, look at it when we grew up, Ty. Shaq was a superstar. Shaq wasn't shooting a 3.
Tim Duncan was a superstar. He wasn't shooting threes. David Robinson,
But listen,
long story short, I used to play basketball literally almost every night of the week. Like, I mean, every time there's a court, and they called me white chocolate. I was pretty decent. That's not a joke. That's a true story. And then I just stopped playing basketball, and it just trickled down, and now I could care less about the NBA. That's what happened. Once they stopped calling me white chocolate, it was over.
White chocolate brought the NBA down.
Of his game.
Next. On to the next
You know
one.
who white chocolate is? Does anybody on this panel other than Rob maybe know who white chocolate is?
Yeah, it's Jason. What's his face?
Jason Williams.
Thank you.
Yeah. He was all tatted up.
He was fun to watch.
I tell you what, I mean, baseball going on right now, and I know like we haven't talked much about baseball, but the one thing that drove me nuts the other day, did anybody see how the Giants lost their game on a called check swing for the third out?
Yep.
How do you do that?
I talked to Billy about that a little bit.
I mean, and when you look at the replays, he didn't check swing. It didn't cross the plate. But how, as an umpire, do you say, this is how this series and this game's going to end? Yeah, he went.
That was a Potesta call right there.
Big time. He turned, he ducked his head and was like, yeah, he went.
Listen, I
think we saw Poe walk by the way.
I don't think so. There was no Snickers bars at the end of the day. I agree and I disagree because I don't think that it should come down to that. But also, was it 2 pitches earlier? 3 pitches? He did go around and they checked it. And he was almost completely around and they said he didn't go. So I think once is I'll give you a pass, twice is shame on you, dude. Swing it or don't. And that's what it came down to.
What constitutes a check swing? Like
you cross.
The head of the bat has to go past home plate.
So it has nothing to do with like breaking.
Well,
your
it has to do with breaking your wrist, depending on when you're.
I genuinely have no idea.
When you're in the box, depending on where the batter's set up, because you could be way back and never cross the plate.
Right.
It has to do with breaking your wrists, but usually they use the plate for reference. But if a guy's back in the box, they'll use your wrists. He didn't go.
So it has not like. What if you go ahead of you, but you don't break your wrist? Like, is it have anything to do with that?
When you go
like
ahead of
your front leg or whatever.
What?
Like if the bat crosses your front leg, does that mean anything?
Yeah, because by then it's going past home plate.
Yeah.
Like he said, home plate is the end all be all. So if you're up in the box and you check swing and you don't break your wrist, but the bat crosses home plate, it's a strike.
No, it's not.
I don't know. I just shoot threes.
No, the umpire, he looks at, and I could be wrong, but this is what I was always told as a catcher, is wherever they're set up, they go, if they're even with the plate, it's easy for them, right? But if they're moved up in the box because of a good curveball or no velocity, they will watch the wrists break on a check swing. And the same thing if they're back in the box is they're going to get a little bit more on that plate sometimes. So the umpire basically has to make a judgment call on if they broke their wrists or not. That's what I was always told. And that's why we always went outside, because the kid's going to break their wrists. Or inside, especially if you do a curveball or a back foot slider, they're going to break their wrists a lot faster on a check swing.
Yeah, the back part's correct, but if you're up in the box and you check swing and you don't break your wrists, but the head of the bat crosses over the front of home plate, that's a strike.
It's a judgment call, but you're putting yourself in a bad spot with the umpire, because if he is going off or she is going off of that plate, you're toast, because if you move the bat at all. But they would always tell me that they're going off. Like if a kid's up front, they'll try to go off the wrists, because if the wrists break, that's a strike. Like you went. Same with the back. But usually in situations like that, 2 strikes and you try to check, you're rolling the dice, and it usually doesn't come out for you. But and you can correct me if I'm wrong, he did that twice in that at bat. And the first time he got checked, and the second time he didn't. And if you're doing that in an at bat with 2 outs, shame on you. You know what I mean? Either commit or don't. And that's you're putting your own life in your hands when you're check swinging in the first place.
Yeah, it was just crazy. I mean, a series ends like that. I mean, it would have been something tough. So,
what is this? Anybody hear of SV Sports?
I was going to say that's a tattoo on Paul's leg. Sorry. I don't know.
No clue. Never met an umpire who said your wrist broke. I have.
Poe.
No. No. That just broke umpires.
Talk about games. What about that? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of our local sports, I do have a change in a game for us. Western Reserve was able to pick up Rootstown.
Who do they play? Who does Rootstown again?
They're in the Portage Trail.
But every time somebody needs a game, Rootstown's sitting there with their arms open. This is unbelievable.
Creed song.
Yeah. So what Rootstown is Division
5, I believe.
Are they 5? All right. But yeah, so Wyndham was supposed to play them, and here's Rootstown. Rootstown's had 2 cancellations. They picked up Liberty on the 10th of September, and they picked up Garfield on the 8th after their Grand Valley game got canceled. But yeah, they play JFK, they play Southeast, and so they played Champion this year. But they were supposed to play Wyndham. Wyndham does not have enough players. They had some injuries and some health issues there. So Wyndham dropped out, and Western Reserve jumped in and said, hey, we'll fill their spot. So Rootstown gets to keep their home game, and they picked up Western Reserve. So 1, 2, 3.
So
4.
Let me ask you this, does that mean that Wyndham's done? Because they were 15th.
They were 15th. I mean, so now you got to worry about their divisor, because when I was looking at Joe Itel, it's crazy. He updated his thing even from yesterday. So now if you go onto his site, he's put like top 8 seeds, likely home, who controls their own destiny, who's likely eliminated. And then there's teams that have nothing next to them, and Wyndham's one of those teams. Wyndham now will finish their season 4-4, and they're a point behind the 14 spot, but they're a full point ahead of the 16 spot. So
it's going to be because of their divisor and everybody around them.
Yeah. So the only team that he says can control their own destiny is Monroeville. And if Monroeville could win, they could probably jump over South Central. And
they don't have anything is because they don't know about COVID because of this week.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate Wyndham's not going to get to play their last game of the season, regular season at least, but they've got a shot of still making the playoffs. So we'll see.
Yeah, but God forbid if somebody gets hurt. I mean, what do you do then?
Yeah.
Well, that team is thin. I mean, they got some really good players, but they just don't have backups.
I love Amo's enthusiasm.
100% correct, though.
And I know he is. And we already talked about it. And you know exactly what I said.
Shock the world.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck, Coach Seidel.
Yeah, and that's why they're not, completely eliminated, as he says it, because they get Springfield this week. They're sitting at 26, so mathematically they're not out of it. But boy, that would be insane because they're at a 0.5, and 16 is at a 4.7. So
how many secondary points and regular points they get if they beat Springfield?
Sebring,
to put them into the playoffs.
Sebring would burn down.
Oh my goodness!
That charge.
They would. I mean, the game that they won last year, that the kids were partying until whenever. Was it Waterloo?
Waterloo game, trophy game.
So, if they beat Springfield, I can't imagine. I mean that it would be a celebration for all times in Trojan country because it would be bananas. Like we would have to put a tracker on Coach Seidel, hands down, and just be like, Coach, don't do anything crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. I don't even know where to go with that. I mean, yes, they're not eliminated, but if Springfield, how far? Well, Springfield wouldn't even fall that far. Because it's not the losses that are taken into,
but you don't get any points out of out of that. So
but they're safe. So they have a home game.
Yeah. So Springfield, I got to pull that up
But we talked about it yesterday. It's not like a coach is going in there saying, "Hey, go out and lose this one for the Gipper boys."
So if Springfield hypothetically loses, they will drop to 4 most likely because Columbia Station will get enough points beating a Division 4 school if they win to jump them. So they would drop to a 4. They'd still host and all that stuff. That doesn't matter. They'd be a 4
Again,
and they would end up playing
at this point
Hillsdale.
Okay, but let's already.
The only difference is they'd play LeBray quicker.
Let's cut through the tape here.
Than they would now.
Sebring already has a Week 11 opponent scheduled. Here's the crazy part: we don't have access to if a team has technically or theoretically said no to the playoffs.
True.
Correct.
I have to believe that Sebring and Latonia would have had to opt out of the playoffs, and I could be way off on this, in order to schedule their Week 11 game.
That or they're just realistically looking at it.
Yeah, those coaches might have all said, listen, we're probably not making the playoffs, so let's schedule this game because we've got 2 Week 11 games right now. Sebring's playing Latonia, and Columbiana's going to play East Palestine. So, they're both – those 4 schools are realistically not in the playoffs, and they're going to play to get their games in because you have until December 4th to get your 10 games in for your season. So
stupid. I'm sorry. That's dumb. I hate that. I absolutely hate that because there's nothing to play for. There's nothing to play for, and somebody's going to get hurt. It's going to cost somebody a basketball season or a baseball season. I am not on board with it.
I like it because listen, you get 10 games, and if you can go find some people to play 10 games, then go play your 10 games and get them in. And if you can't, then you can end your season and say, okay, listen, we couldn't find anybody, we're done. But if you can get somebody, continuously in those weeks, because it's not going to be playoff teams because they've already most likely got their 10 games in, and even when they play their playoff games, they get to 10, you're done. Unless it's a playoff game. So for some of these teams that haven't played like Latonia, they're 1-4. They've only played 5 games all year. So for them to get out there and go play, why not?
It was different when there were 6 games. I was all for it, right? Get your 10 games in because you weren't promised 10 games to begin with. But you look at this, and I'm not saying it's anybody's fault for getting COVID or contracting the virus or anything like that. But you had a 10-game schedule. And something happened. That's life. I'm tired of all these guarantees and we're going to opt out of the playoffs, but we're going to go play this and that. Like, I don't like that in the first place. If you're not going to go into the playoffs, you're not going to fight. Like, the playoffs are something to fight for, something to be proud of. And it's already watered down. If you can't make that, do you deserve to be playing football at that point? That's
the funny thing is it's kind of like you contradict yourself a little bit from last week because when you were like, oh, if a team opts out of the playoffs, they should be punished for next year as well and punish those kids because you've taken that away from those seniors. If you don't qualify for the playoffs, you don't qualify for the playoffs, but you were still given 10 games to play and COVID hit your team and that wasn't your kids' fault. So if you can go make up those games and give them 10 games to their senior season, if you can, and get whatever you can for those seniors, why wouldn't you go do that as a coach?
Basically,
if you're Latonia's coach, they had 3 games. They lost 3 games to COVID that they didn't get to play. The first 2 of the season, and then that game against Columbiana. So those kids they have 4 games that are out there right now that they could try to go play. Why wouldn't you want those seniors to go get a chance to play against whoever they can go get?
Well, one of the reasons is going to be because you're already 10 weeks in and the weather's starting to change, not as naturally as it does for football, but it's not getting any warmer. And let's say that player is your best player on a basketball floor or your ace pitcher. And Paul, you've lived this, right? Think about if that game was not a playoff game or the South Range didn't go to the playoffs, how stupid and how frustrated you would be from your standpoint for losing a kid for 2 sports because somebody wanted to play an extra game that meant absolutely nothing because they wanted to go play a game. That's why. Because
to maybe us it didn't mean anything, but we've talked about this before, and we say, hey, injuries happen all the time. You can't predict injuries, and that shouldn't be the factor of you going to play. But if, as a coach, if you're sitting there going, listen, we got 3 games taken away from us this year by no fault of our own, if you guys want to go play these games, let's go play them. I can go try to get us some more games.
I'm with
now, if the kids just quit and say, listen, we're done, dude. We don't want to play no more.
I'm
then
with
okay.
you.
But how many of those high school kids are saying, we're done, we don't want to play no more?
And that's why high school kids should not be making the decision necessarily. The seniors should. I agree with that. The seniors should. But you know.
So what if the seniors, like Tony, say, we want as many games as you can get us, coach. Let's go.
Then go. But it's on them. And at the end of the day, those juniors will still have another year to go get, right? Sophomores 2 years, freshmen 3 years. But those seniors have to live with that decision that is made. Those seniors do. The coaches should not, the coaches should have to look at them and say, okay, what are we getting out of this? Because I agree with you. Anybody can get hurt on any given day. I can go walk out on 680 and get hit by a bus. But let's be honest here. We can all die in a plane crash, but if I get on a plane with one wing, I got better chances to do so. And you get into a football game with nothing on the line, kids have nothing to win or lose, and then dumb things start to happen, right? Because the kids have no consequence anymore. Zero. There's no more games for them. This is their last game. There's no playoffs. That's it. This is the end of it. You're going to see fights. You're going to see.
But then those kids are going to get suspended. But I mean, you got to look at your program though too and say, listen, I'm trying to build my program. If I go get a couple games, so if I'm Latonia or I'm coach, if I'm coach at Sebring and he's like, listen, we want to go get a couple more games here because these kids deserve a chance to. I don't know, maybe there's a record they can break or something if they need to get, a couple more yards for something because they didn't have those games. Or listen, this is their last shot to put this uniform on and go play. Now, if they're a bunch of jerks and they do something stupid, they're going to get suspended then. You're going to get suspended from school and then you're out. And in that, listen, that's the consequence you're going to get. Are they going to go out there and try to cheap shot somebody? I don't see that happening. But I don't have a problem with these guys trying to go get some extra games if they can get them. Most likely, you're only going to see games for 1 or 2 weeks. Come week 13, I don't think you're going to see anybody playing besides playoff teams because then other teams are going to go, listen, we're good. We're going to shut this down. But, I mean, for some of these teams to get a shot, I don't have any harm towards them. Go get it, guys.
If the NCAA was smart, they would say you get 1 week. You get week 11. Go schedule whoever you want. That's it. That's the end of the football season. Because at the end of the day, for me, the longer you make it, even if it's week 12, listen, you want to play in week 12, go earn it. We sit here and we bash people for 16 teams going into the playoffs. If you want to play in week 12, in my opinion, week 11 even, but I understand the COVID situation and canceled games. You want to play in week 12, go earn it. End of story. Sorry. Life is life, and games get canceled. We'll give you one back, but otherwise, it's a situation where it's either bad luck or bad timing, and that's life, right? You should not be playing in week 12 unless you were in the playoffs and there's something to gain.
But see, last year the OHSAA did that. They said you can play a max up to 10 games if you're not in the playoffs. So everybody went and said, okay, after 6 weeks, we're opting out of the playoffs. But we now can go pick up 4 more games and play 10 weeks. And in your theory that those were meaningless games for those kids, but they got to play some games that maybe they had a shot at winning. I mean, East Palestine wouldn't have had a win last year if they wouldn't have had that extra weeks to go up to play Spire. So they had a chance to go play those games because it was after opting out of the playoffs and they got a win. And that was some pride for those kids. And so I think a lot of these teams are saying, listen,
was it? And that's my thing. Was it? Because what happened was Spire became, or St. John's became the.
Oh, yeah. Akron, Ashtabula, St. John. Yeah.
They became the team that everybody chased because they needed a win. Okay. They were the belle of the ball. And how do you think it feels for those kids? If you got to chase a win 2.5 hours, and I told Tony this, you got to chase a win 2.5 hours away. How good does it really feel? You're not beating the Letonias of the world. You're not beating, go play them. And there's pride. I'm sorry. I don't, from my standpoint, and this is nothing against people that play them. If that's your win on the season and that's what you're building off of, you're building with glass house, or you're building with, it's not built on a solid foundation. I'm sorry. That's just where I'm at. And And I think that a lot of these week 11, week 12 games are based on the same principles. We're chasing a record for somebody that, let's be honest, should have an asterisk by it. It should have an asterisk by it because it's really based on a 12-week season or an 11-week season. We couldn't play this game. We're playing it. Like, it's not competitively fair. It's not. So that's where I'm at. I don't even have time to do the graphic right now. Let's get to our Joe Dickey Electric. What is your spark? Presented by our friends over at Joe Dickey Electric. Commercial, residential, anything electrical. Head over to DickeyElectric.com. Tell them YSN sent you. Rob, what do you got?
It's definitely a negative. If you do this as a person, you're the epitome of the word douchebag, and I've been dealing with this pretty much my entire adult life because it infuriates me to no end. I've been out of my car before. If I'm at a red light and I see you smoking a cigarette, or you and your significant other smoking a cigarette in your car, you got like 3 little kids in the back, I can't explain how bad I want to drag you out of your car and solve everything myself. And the kids don't get to make the choice. I mean, how selfish and ignorant can you be to be blowing that stuff right in their face like that? I mean, be better. And if you do that, I will seriously, I'm just going to assume that you beat your chihuahua with a leather boot and that you eat your peas one at a time.
Eat your peas one at a time. I like that.
Paul?
Mine is mine's with people who are deceptive. I have some people that are telling me they're going one place and they're actually somewhere else, and now they get to feel the wrath because listen, I'm not getting heat over somebody being somewhere they shouldn't be. So just sneaky people, not happy about it.
All right. Quinn, is that you?
Angry Paul Munson. I love that. I got a positive. Open gym starts tonight for us. So I'm excited about that. And the main positive is all these people I've watched golf today, I think I'm better than them. So I'm ready to tee it up.
Nothing like tributing the troops, right?
Not them, the other people.
My goodness.
Like this one on the range right now.
Oh.
My dude hasn't gotten any lift on the ball once. So
Look at that critical Quinn over here, the golf pro. I'm going to stay in the 4 box here because nobody can see me anyway. I'm going to go with, obviously a positive spark. We did a breakdown of the high school teams. Sounds like we're going to have in the area of 20. We'll have an official announcement tomorrow on ysnlive.com, but I'll let you know right now for being a wonderful viewer of the YSN Power Hour. $9.99 a night is going to get you a ticket to the games, whichever games you want to watch. That's Friday, and then the $9.99 the next night on Saturday. So for $20, you get to watch 20 teams, something like that. 20 of our local teams in that vicinity, and I'm excited. Well, we don't know officially yet. But we'll know for sure. So that's close to 36 games or somewhere in that world. So that's not bad for $20. It's less than $1 a game. So looking forward to the playoff. Looking forward to some volleyball playoffs that start tomorrow. Tonight. Okay.
Yeah, Anthony's going to some tonight to write a story and take pictures.
Beautiful. So we'll have the coverage on ysnlive.com. Congratulations to this week's Big Dogs of the Valley, brought to you by Baird Brothers as well. Some good voting out there to be had right now. And we also did a release of our all YSN volleyball team for 2021. So make sure you check that out on the website. And we'll see you tomorrow for the YSN Power Hour, brought to you by all of our great sponsors right next to me right there. So appreciate all of them. Appreciate all of you. We'll see you tomorrow right here on YSN. Can't get it off. I can't see my screen. I'm just going to end it.